Hey, I'm Henri Cash in the funny suit, and I'm in a band called Starcrawler, and we're here today at Vox, and we're going to be talking about gear and amps, and hopefully some music too. I mean, I picked up the guitar when I was just a kid, but never with any intention of wanting to play the guitar. It was just sort of always around. My dad played guitar and my mom played piano, and there was just always music playing, and so it was kind of just a natural progression to want to pick up the guitar and just play. But I didn't really want to learn guitar at the time, so I was just sort of just playing aimlessly. But then as I got older, I was listening to more music. I was listening to like the Cramps, the MC5, the Ramones, and I started to really want to feel the way that those records made me feel. And so I started picking up different instruments. I wanted to play drums, and then I wanted to play bass, and guitar was always in the back of my head. And then I finally started playing it when I met Arrow at high school, who is singer in Starcrawler. And that's when I really started playing with intention, because before that it was just for fun. But yeah, it's sort of inevitable. It's kind of crazy because I listen to so much different types of music, and I feel like we all do in the band, because one day I'll be listening to the Stooges, Ron Asheton, and you know, the next song that comes up on my shuffle is, you know, Scotty Moore, Elvis, or like Johnny Cash, and then, you know, the Cramps, and it's just such a different range, and then AC/DC, I mean, Chuck Berry. I mean, it sort of just keeps on going. I mean, I grew up with, my dad was mainly listening to like blues, like Lightning Slim and like Slim Harpo type stuff. And so that stuff is kind of rooted in me whether I want it to or not. But then I also loved AC/DC, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry. And so it just all sort of morphs into one, just an energy, I feel like. Just like rock and roll. There's nothing I could really do about it, but yeah. So Starcrawler started out when me and Arrow were in high school, and she came up to me one day as I was carrying a tuba down a staircase, and I was wearing a Cramps shirt, and she assumed because of the mix of the two that I played guitar. And she came up to me and told me that she was trying to form a band and start jamming, and asked me if I played guitar. And I said yes, but I was a bit skeptical because I thought she was weird, and I'd never met her before. And then I went to this jam, we exchanged numbers, and then we started writing songs together. And I didn't really play with too many people, and I didn't know too many people that listened to the same kind of music as me. And so it was really like a culture shock to finally have somebody that felt the same way about music as me, and we all knew the same songs, and it was kind of crazy. And it sort of just morphed from there to where I really wanted to drop out of school, and she really didn't want to go to college. And so we thought, well, if we get together every day after school and we rehearse and we try to get as many shows as we can, maybe we'll be able to be on tours and stuff, and then I'll get to drop out finally. And it ended up working out after a long time of convincing my parents that it was okay. But it worked, and she didn't have to go to college. So yeah, out of desperation. It's great having Bill in the band, who's my brother, because for the first couple records, I would play parts, like 2 parts, and then sometimes when I'd go to do a solo or something, the backbone would just be gone when I stopped playing the rhythm. And that was cool for a long time, and you know, we'd play shows, but we really wanted to expand and grow our sound and make it wider. And so when he started playing, you know, either he'd pick up a lead on parts or he'd do the rhythm and I'd jump to a solo. It just helped the live show become more full. And then he also plays pedal steel and gets into crazy like chicken picking stuff that is way beyond me. And so it's cool to have that element in our group as well. I feel extremely lucky to have grown up in LA, and I grew up going to shows. I remember seeing X at the park and seeing like the Blasters, and I grew up going to McCabe's a lot because my parents were friends with Peter Case, and from the Plimsolls and the Nerves, and I remember listening to those records as a kid and just wanting to do that. And just being there and meeting all these older people who were giving me references of stuff to listen to. I remember I really loved the White Stripes, and I said that my favorite drummer was Meg White, and somebody told me to then listen to the Velvet Underground because they had a female drummer too. And you probably will like them. Then I started listening to the Velvet Underground, and then I found out that the guy who told me that was actually in the room recording with the Velvet Underground at the time, and it was just a bunch of really cool stories that I got to hear, and it was all super inspiring just being in the rooms. I mean, at McCabe's, which is this really cool guitar store in Santa Monica, where they did a lot of shows, you walk down the hallway upstairs and there's just photos like of Jackson Browne, Warren Zevon, and Beck, and it really did all different eras of amazing singer-songwriters, and just, it was super inspiring to want to be a part of that. From a young age, I was like, I want to do this. So yeah, we're putting out our new record, She Said, and that's actually where I started using boxes mainly. It was produced by this guy, Tyler Bates, and engineered by a guy named Robert Carranza. And Tyler is an amazing guitar player himself, which was really cool to work with a guitar player as a producer, because, you know, we brought 15 amps to the studio, and he, you know, was down to A-B every amp till we found the perfect one. Which, you know, some producers are just like, bring your amp and throw it up or whatever and call it a day. And so through that and the engineer, Robert, we were listening to all these different amps through this little labs. We would just A-B everything, and we found that we had one of these hand-wired AC30s, and it just cut through the mix so well. And so every song we'd keep going down, and then it'd be like, oh, well, the Vox wins again. And then we'd mix amps, and it was a really cool process. And most of our records before, we haven't really had time to make them. They've always been super rushed because we've been on tour, or with our first record, it was just one day. It was just, you know, there was no money or anything. So, but this time, since it was COVID, we were all at home, and we got a chance to really make a record and not have a deadline. At the time, we didn't have a record label when we made the record, so we weren't making it for anybody but ourselves, which was really cool. But now, it's really cool because we have Big Machine behind us and really promoting the record, and it's been a great time so far. I'm involved in so many music projects that I kind of unravels my brain a bit, but right now I'm mainly focusing on Starcrawler, but I also have a side project with my girlfriend, Cash and Sky, and we put out a single on Third Man Records. And that was really fun. We did a show with some great friends playing behind us too, and that was really fun. And then we also do some scoring stuff for TV, which is always a fun nightmare thing, because, you know, you're always trying to make something work for people that don't play music or understand music. And so it's a bit of a nightmare sometimes, but hey, it's cool to just be getting work. But yeah, I try to do a bunch of different kinds of music. I like to also engineer. I play with our friend Misha a lot. We have a studio, and we just try to get all our friends in there and just hang out and record and mess with tape. And it's just always fun playing music, and it's just something sociable that I do with a lot of my friends. But as far as something that feels creatively me, I feel like Starcrawler is the most me, and it's what I'm most attached to.